Have you ever felt like you're running on a treadmill? You're working hard, you're doing all the things you're supposed to do, but you're still tangled up in stress and worried about the consequences? It feels like a totally modern problem, right? Well, the solution might just come from a very, very old secret. Today, we are diving into the Bhagavad Gita to unlock a philosophy of action that doesn't just promise success, but something much bigger, real freedom. So here's our game plan. We're going to start with a lost piece of wisdom and a really sharp question. Then we'll need to understand the true nature of the teacher, Krishna, before we can unlock the secret of action itself. And finally, we'll see how all of this leads to breaking free from what are called the chains of karma.
All right, let's set the scene. We're on a battlefield, sure, but the real conflict we're digging into today is a philosophical one. It all kicks off with a simple, logical question from a student, Arjuna, to his teacher, who happens to be the divine Krishna.
So Krishna has just mentioned that he's teaching this incredible ancient wisdom that was first taught eons ago to the sun god. And Arjuna, who's always the practical one, is just confused. He's basically saying, wait a second, you and I are contemporaries. This other guy is ancient. How am I supposed to believe you were the one who taught him? It's a brilliant, straightforward question, and it really gets to the heart of everything. So you see the puzzle, right? Arjuna's doubt lays it all out for us. If this amazing knowledge vanished over time, how could his friends, Krishna, standing right there in the chariot, possibly have been the original teacher all those ages ago? It just doesn't seem to add up. And this very question is the key that's going to unlock this whole chapter for us. Now, just for some context, Krishna explains that this wasn't some minor, forgotten idea. This was a supreme science, and it was passed down through this incredible lineage of enlightened rulers. But, you know how it goes. Over a huge stretch of time, that connection was broken, and this powerful wisdom was essentially lost to the world.
So why bring it back now? And of all people, why for Arjuna? Krishna's answer is actually really beautiful. He says he's revealing this supreme secret because Arjuna is his devoted friend. And that's such a critical point. This kind of knowledge isn't just data you download. It's shared through a real bond of trust and love.
Okay, so to answer Arjuna's very logical question, Krishna has to pull back the curtain and reveal who he really is. The answer isn't about bending the rules of a timeline. It's about understanding a completely different nature of being, his divine, transcendental nature. Krishna lays out this really crucial distinction. He tells Arjuna, hey, many, many births have passed for both you and me. But here's the difference, and it's a huge one. Arjuna, as a mortal soul, forgets all of his past lives. Krishna, being divine, remembers every single one. He's eternal. He's not bound by the same rules of time that trap the rest of us. And this brings us to the whole concept of an avatar, a divine descent. Krishna explains that even though it looks like he was born, he's actually unborn, and his spiritual form never perishes. You see, our appearances in this world are forced on us by our past actions, by karma. His are not. He chooses to appear voluntarily, using his own internal divine energy. It's a choice, not a karmic debt. So why does he make that choice to appear? Well, there's a kind of cosmic clock at work. Whenever righteousness starts to fade and injustice is on the rise, the divine descends. And the mission is always the same: to protect the virtuous, to challenge the wicked, and to get things back on track by reestablishing the principles of Dharma. And Krishna makes it clear, this isn't a one-off event. It happens again and again, in every single age. And here's the part where it gets personal. Here's why all this matters for us. Krishna makes this absolutely mind-blowing promise. He says that anyone who truly understands the divine, transcendental nature of his appearance and his activities, well, they don't come back. They don't get reborn into this material world again. The number of future births for them drops to 0. That's the payoff for this knowledge: total liberation. All right, so now that we have a better handle on who the teacher is, we can finally tackle the teaching itself. This is where we get to the real heart of it all. This is where Krishna unlocks the secret of action, the practical, life-changing knowledge. Krishna kicks things off by admitting, this stuff is tricky. He literally says, what is action and what is inaction? Even really intelligent people get confused by this. I find that so reassuring, don't you? He's basically telling us that if this feels a little confusing, we're in very good company. But he promises to make it clear so that we can be free. So, to get this, we have to understand 3 key terms. First up is karma. Now, in this specific context, it just means prescribed action. your duties, your responsibilities, the things you're supposed to do. It's the right course of action. Next, we have vikarma. This is the opposite. These are the forbidden actions, the things you're not supposed to do. They go against spiritual principles and, well, they lead to negative consequences. Pretty straightforward. And then there's the third one. And this is the secret sauce. This is a karma. It literally translates to inaction, but what it really means is action that produces zero karmic reaction. Think about that. It's a way of acting in the world that doesn't tie you up in knots. This is the goal. This all leads to this central, brilliant paradox. Krishna says a truly wise person learns to see inaction in action. What does that mean? It means they do their duty, they're fully engaged, but because they have zero selfish attachment to the outcome, that action creates no karmic entanglement. It's as if they're doing nothing at all. And at the same time, they see action in inaction. They get that ducking your responsibilities isn't actually passive. It is an action, and it has its own heavy consequences. So, what's the payoff? What happens when you actually master this art of action? You get freedom, complete freedom from the chains of karma. This is the ultimate result of putting this incredible knowledge into practice. Krishna actually gives us a roadmap for this. Step 1, you have to free yourself from attachment, fear, and anger. Once you've done that, you can take complete refuge in the divine and then become fully absorbed in that connection. The final step is purification, where the fire of this new knowledge just burns away all the baggage of past karma. And this quote just powerfully redefines what it means to be a learned person. It has nothing to do with how many books you've read. The truly wise, the truly learned, are the ones whose actions are literally burned up by the fire of perfect knowledge. In other words, real wisdom isn't about what's in your head, it's about how you use it to purify your every action. So what does this liberated person even look like? Well, they're out in the world. They are fully engaged, but they've given up all attachment to the results of what they do. Their happiness, their satisfaction, comes from inside. It doesn't depend on praise or money or success. And because they depend on nothing external, they are truly, deeply free. So even though they might look incredibly busy, from a karmic perspective, they're doing nothing at all. And here's the formula in a nutshell. You act, but only for what's necessary. You do it with a controlled mind, and you let go of any sense of personal ownership over the work or the results. When you can do that, you move through the world freely, without racking up any more karmic debt. And that leaves us with one last big, provocative question to think about. In our lives, we are so conditioned to focus on the result, right? The grade, the promotion, the win. But what if the Gita is right? What if the whole point of doing something isn't to get something at the end? What if the purpose of action is the enlightened action itself? Now that is a game-changing thought to take with you.